anti-Bharat rhetoric. A debate titled "This House Believes in an Independent State of Kashmir" has sparked off a firestorm. Is the Oxford University deliberately indulging in an anti-Bharat narrative? Is it pandering to a Pak-driven agenda? Oxford University's hypocrisy also has been laid bare. There have been protests to call off this debate back in 2022 when the Oxford Union had cancelled a debate when Pakistanis protested against the presence of filmmaker Vivek Agnihotri just because that was the time when the release of the Kashmir files had happened. Now, is the ISI's deep-rooted agenda playing out here? Is the Oxford Union playing proxy to Pakistan? Or is it being manifested via the CCP, driven of propaganda outfits that is their own culture center? So is there a larger narrative at play here where another inimical entity to Bharat is actually using this vassal state that the way it treats it today to try and create or foment this? Has the recent peaceful polls in Jammu and Kashmir unnerved Bharat's foes? Is Naya Jammu and Kashmir post the abrogation of Article 370 choking Pak proxies? Are Bharat's haters trying to spread this agenda using foreign soil in a bid to undermine our nation's growth? Now, these are all questions that remain, but more importantly, under the garb of freedom of speech and expression, can a prestigious university and its students' union or union come out and try and create a conversation around a sovereign state of Bharat and try and talk about secession, openly talk about secession? How is that fair? Will they be all right if the IITs of our country, the IIMs of our country, the JNUs of our country, the Ashokas, and the other universities of our country were to have debates which talk about what about an independent Scotland or an independent Wales? Will these kind of questions and debates be encouraged, and will it be palatable to the British Embassy and the British government? These are questions that need to be asked. But there are students within the Oxford Union and in Oxford University who are standing up to this. Adarsh Mishra accused the Oxford Union's president, Ibrahim Osman Muafi, of being a stooge of Pakistan and the ISI. Giving a befitting reply to the House, the Indian student stood and exposed the JKLF, holding it responsible for the killing of Kashmiri Pandits and Hindu government officials in Birmingham. A no-confidence motion thereby was also mooted by the student and then signed by others against this current president of the Students' Union, Ibrahim Osman Muafi, and also the president-elect or the incumbent president who's going to take charge next year, against both of them for propagating an agenda against a nation on university soil or on foreign soil. Listen into the sequence.
JKLF is a terror organization. JKLF is a terror organization that has killed so many Kashmiri Pandits. It has massacred lots of Pandits, and also it has killed a Hindu government official in Birmingham. This house, I do not trust this house. What I've done is I've actually launched a no-confidence motion against the president because I believe a lot of members of this house do not have any faith with the president of this Oxford Union, because he is nothing but a stooge of ISI, he is nothing but a stooge of Pakistan, and this house has no confidence in the president.
Now, a group of British Hindus and Indians Insight UK have protested in front of the Oxford Union, the debating society of Oxford University, and raised slogans against the institution. The group chanted slogans like "It is known far and wide, Oxford Union stands for terrorist side," and "Bharat Mata Ki Jai" and "Vande Mataram." Insight UK wrote on social media, "Jammu and Kashmir was India, Jammu and Kashmir is India, Jammu and Kashmir will always be India." The group also mentioned other concerns in the letter written to the Oxford Union on Thursday. There's more. CNN News 18 decodes the links between invitees, their frontal organizations and the ISI. Mercy Universal, a frontal organization of Muzammil Ayub Thakur, funded by the ISI, has actually organized this debate. Now, who's this person? technically shut down in 2011 after Scotland Yard probe, but still active tacitly. Nigerian Muslims, Pakistani, Indian Muslims from Telangana and Andhra, some of these regions have actually supported this debate. Students' Union President Muafi, who gave a go-ahead for this debate, is actually having a colored and checkered past. Objections to the debate titled "This House Believes in the Independent State of Kashmir," alleging that the institute invited two speakers, Muzammil Ayub Thakur and Zafar Khan, who are Kashmiri separatists and terror backers. They have their leanings and connections to the JKLF. The no confidence motion. The no confidence motion was moved against the current Oxford Union President Ibrahim Usman Muafi. He's got a tainted past. Ibrahim Usman Muafi was suspended once from the presidency for making wrong comments. Indian students claim that the debate was influenced by the ISI and said that Muafi was an ISI stooge. He's of Cairo origin, the Oxford Union president. He was brought on board because he was throwing or kowtowing to the lines of the Islamists, or even more importantly, an ISI-backed agenda. Now, Dr. Muzammil Ayub Thakur, he was invited to further anti-Bharat agenda at the Oxford Union. Who is this person? He's the president of the World Kashmir Freedom Movement. He's been investigated by the Scotland Yard in the past, the Charity Commission and also the FBI. The charge against him, he's suspected to have ties with terrorist activities. He's known to be a Kashmiri political activist and founder of the London-based World Kashmir Freedom Movement. So this is a secessionist agenda. It's a pro-Pak or ISI-backed agenda wherein under the garb of separation or secession, the whole agenda is to eventually amalgamate with Pakistan. The same K2 funda, ladies and gentlemen, what they tried with Kashmir, they are trying with this entire bogie of Khalistan. So this is where this stands out. This man, Muzammil Thakur, Ayub Thakur, is accused of providing financing and logistical support to terrorists. He was booked under the Terrorist and Disruptive Activities Prevention Act in 2001. His Indian passport was impounded. And there was a demand that he be extradited back to Bharat. And this demand was made twice, in 1992 and in 1993. Muzammil Ayub Thakur lives in the UK, runs two Islamist organizations, the Justice Foundation and the World Kashmir Freedom Movement, as we mentioned earlier. In June 2002, Jammu and Kashmir arrested Imtiaz Ahmad Bazaz on charges of funneling funds sent by Ayub Thakur from the UK to Kashmiri separatists. He is also accused of funding the Dukhtarane-Millat hardline organization that imposes Islamist dress code on women, Asiya Andrabi's outfit. In May 2022, and this is the same outfit, the Dukhtarane-Millat, that also gets open support from the likes of Hafiz Saeed. Now, in May 2022, Jammu and Kashmir Police booked Muzammil under the UAPA Act for threatening Indian advocate named Syed Zishan. Who's this other entity? Zafar Khan. Zafar Khan is the chairman of the Jammu and Kashmir Liberation Front's diplomatic bureau. JKLF in the Kashmir Valley was officially banned by the government under UAPA. This is an outfit that backs terrorist Yasin Malik, who confessed on BBC to killing Kashmiri Hindus and walking on the streets, threatening, maiming and aiming his gun at innocent civilians and furthering an agenda that was backed by the ISI and Pakistan military. JKLF's Yasin Malik has been convicted for killing 3 Air Force officers in the valley. He had an alleged role in kidnapping of ex-Jammu and Kashmir Chief Minister Mufti Saeed's daughter. Bitta Karate, who was associated with the JKLF, claimed to have killed 30 to 40 Kashmiri Pandits. So this is the outfit that is coming there and sponsoring these kind of conversations in the Oxford Union. Israr Khan, the next Oxford Union president, who will succeed Ibrahim Usman Muafi, is also allegedly close to the Pakistan and the ISI there. As per news reports, Israr is a lawyer by profession, became the first in Balochistan and the third in Pakistan to be taking over as the president of the debating society. He was congratulated by Pak PM Shehbaz Sharif when he was chosen the next Oxford Union president. So clearly there is an agenda that is manifesting on foreign soil. There is an India versus Pakistan narrative, but more importantly, there is the sovereignty issue. The debate should be, when will Bharat take back POK? When will Bharat finally unite all of Jammu and Kashmir, that includes Gilgit and Baltistan? Rather than that, sovereign territory of Bharat is being questioned under the garb of separation. Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, is with us. We also have Adit Kothari, founding member of the Indic Society, joining us. Namaste and Jai Hind, and we are hoping for either Pandit Satish Sharma or Rashmi Samant, who is a former Oxford University student, and she's gone through this whole aspect of what transpires there. She should be joining us, hopefully. Now, Adit Kothari, what's happening here? Year after year this happens. How is it that this Oxford University and this Oxford Union gets away with blocking someone like a Vivek Agnihotri, gets away with blocking and does all and is able to pull out all stops to stop anything that represents the true story from Bharat, especially when it comes to Jammu and Kashmir?
So Anand, we are all ultimately the children's and byproduct of an education system which has conditioned us to a certain degree with selective narratives. And Oxford, the University of Oxford is nothing but a representation of that. The narrative in itself is such a bogus narrative because it's talking about the independence of Kashmir, which is circa only 20,000 square kilometers of wider, a very small but significant part of Jammu Kashmir. But Jammu Kashmir has, other parts as well. It has Jammu, it has Ladakh, it has connections to Gilgit, but they're not talking about the separation and the independence of those particular lands. So the narrative is basically to, build this sort of a caliphate out of Kashmir because it's seen globally as this, Islamic or rather.
Why don't they debate on Scotland? Why don't they debate on Wales?
They have. To be fair, they have debated on Scotland in 2023. They have debated on Tibet in 1999.
They're on British soil. Let them talk about British issues. Who are they to come sit there and talk about issues of the sovereign nation, of another sovereign nation? Kashmir is an integral part of India.
Look, that is the problem of the social sciences departments in various universities, right? Because that's where they are running their anti-Indian narrative. That is where they are running their anti-Hindu narrative, just not for the past 10 or 15 years, but since generations. You look at the preliminary research on Hinduism, in Harvard University.
Then let Israr Khan and Muafi discuss Pakhtunistan. Let them discuss the independence of Balochistan.
Absolutely.
And will Sikhs truly get their land back from the hands of the Islamist zamindars who have thrown them away from there? Will they really give back Nankana Sahib? Let them, today's Prakash Parv, let them discuss that. Will they hand over Kartarpur corridor to the Sikhs? Will they hand over Nankana Sahib and Punjab Sahib to the Sikhs? Let them have these debates.
See, the
they
point
will
is,
not do that.
Look, you can't stop them from having these debates. They will have these debates. The problem that I see is the red lines of free speech, which they're basically breaching, where free speech ends where terrorism begins. So the moment you platform someone like a Muzammil Ayub Thakur, who is a terrorist, who is a radical Islamist, who is threatened, not only just an advocate and a woman in Jammu and Kashmir, but my friend Raja Monib, who's a journalist in Kashmir. That's where the problem is, because you're legitimizing radicalism, you're legitimizing extremism, and there you cannot have a debate with them. You cannot have any sort of a conversation with them. And that is why I think it was right for Aditya Kaul and Vivek Agnihotri and Major Gaurav Arya to say that, we will not, and, Dr. Ranganathan as well. I was told yesterday that he was also invited. So, it was right on their part to basically decline on the invitations extended to them by the Oxford Union.
Dr. Ranganathan, what more can be done? We can't just be okay by rejecting their invitations. We've got to do more.
Good evening, Anand, and good evening to my very good friend Adit. No, look, a couple of things out here. Just to disclose correctly, as what Adit said, I was also invited to speak at the same program this summer. I got this email and letter, and I didn't know that I'd got this email. So for about 1.5 to 2 months, I didn't reply to this. And of course, I didn't even see it. And the House believes in an independent state of Kashmir. was the topic that was given to me. And for 2 months, I didn't reply to that. Then I got a phone call from them. And then I discussed it, and then they laid bare the details of this event. And I said, look, I have no issues in participating in the event, but I'd like the topic to be this House believes that Kashmir belongs to India, and then you can have anybody who is against that topic to talk about it. And then I wrote them an email that I'll be very willing to come and, I'll be speaking against this motion if this motion stands. And then I did not hear from them at all. And now I hear that they've conducted that debate, but be that as it may. So just to say first up that I did not decline the invitation. In fact, I think they just ran away. Maybe my reputation precedes me. But the fact of the matter is a little bit of a variance here, because I would go to any lengths to debate any topic with anyone. Then this includes terrorists. Anand, to be honest, in I think 2020 at Earth Festival that's organized by our friend Vikram Sampath, I have debated Article 370 with a terror apologist, Gilani. So the point is you need to defeat and pummel them with words first. And then officially the state can do whatever it wants to do as far as other means are concerned. But we as citizens, I think, this narrative needs to be defeated by words, and it would have been defeated. I mean, I would have brought out at least half a dozen or dozen arguments, and they would have had absolutely no response to that. And I was confident of that, and maybe they got an inkling that, yeah, this guy is not going to, leave us with any room to kind of escape or slip away from what the real truth is, that Kashmir has always been part of India. And there is no such thing as independent Kashmir possible. And historically, technically, so many other ways prove this point. So, I mean, just to say, put it out on record that I would even, debate with Ibrahim or Osama bin Laden or Nasrallah or anyone.
See, I'll tell you what. That's the academic at your end who says that these people should be smothered with words. But there are people who you can smother with anything, but they will never be smothered, because this is their undying quest. This is the only source of their existence. Because other than this narrative, they have nothing of their own story. That's what it is. This is all being propped up by those for whom the ghosts of 1971 have still not rested. The pummeling that they have got at the hands of Bharat time and again has not left them, and it continues to haunt them. That's where they come from. Such people should not be engaged with, because we are wasting our time. People who listen to rationale, people who listen to reason, they can be argued against and they can be made to listen. Others, they will keep propping up like this. So, it's that's another point of view. But Adit, the fact is that this is happening at the Oxford University. Now, so then if that's the case, then Vivek Agnihotri should not have been blocked. If Oxford Union believes that they give everybody a platform to air their views, Vivek Agnihotri should not have been blocked. Then Anand Ranganathan should have been allowed to stand there and speak once they've extended the invitation. Then they should not be that they will run a particular narrative and only those who speak for that narrative will be platformed.
Well, that's Western hypocrisy for you. Free speech, the argument will be that free speech is not absolute. We believe that, there is a sense of misdirection or a sense of selective information that Vivek Agnihotri is peddling. So, those are the kind of narratives that they play on and they get away with it. And we've allowed them to. You know why? Because there is no financial repercussions that we've levied on them. And it's just not the Oxford University in general. You look throughout the board, whether it's the Cambridge, whether it's the King's College, whether it's any university in the Western Hemisphere, it's a cesspool for anti-Indian narratives and anti-Hindu, very feral agendas. And they platform people like Natasha Kaul, they platform people like Muzammal Ayub Thakur, and this is a constant phenomenon. And the problem is that the Indian government is not demonstrating any spine. There needs to be financial repercussions. We need to start delegitimizing these universities.
Why the Indian government? How many of the sponsorships come from Indian entities? How many of the? Yes, Dr.
Anand,
the Ambanis.
A couple of years ago, there was a conference that was held, a virulently anti-Hindu conference called Dismantling Hindutva in American universities. And at one place it was held, it was actually sponsored by a very famous industrialist from India who started centers in America. So this is how deep-rooted the issue is. Yeah, I think it was Mahindra. I think it was Mahindra, their institute in, was it Harvard or something, that was part of this conglomerate that was organizing this thing. I dare say Mr. Mahindra didn't know about it, but I don't know what the, so I don't think the Indian government has got anything to do with that, Adit. I think the problem is so deep-rooted that all the Indian, businessmen, tycoons, when they start their programs there or institutes there, it's very quickly run over by people of a definite tilted bias proclivity. You can't do anything about it.
No, the government of Qatar has invested almost $20 million, I'm led to believe, in Carnegie Mellon. Today, there is a course in Carnegie Mellon which is basically looking at the atrocities of Gaza. Like, there's a whole module, there's a whole course on that particular subject.
How much of the money has come from the CCP culture centers? So the Chinese have embedded themselves, and oftentimes they use the Pakistani narrative and they prop up these Pakistanis just because they want to have a soft go at India, and that is also writ large. Then there is this entire Western lobby that also wants to continue to push this narrative and funnel this narrative so that there is a certain pinprick that happens at Bharat. But are we not able enough to go back and counter this and tell these people the bulk of the brains that is being contributed is from our country? So are we saying that those organizations need the students also from here, right? Why is it that we cannot take a strong position there? And why is it, or are things changing on ground, Adit? Are there more students who are now standing up to this kind of rubbish?
Yeah, I think the student body in general is a bit more aware, and they've developed a sense of spine as well along the years. So you have the likes of the Adarsh Mishras, you have the likes of the Satyam Saranas, Rashmi Sawants of the world. They are demonstrating a lot of spine and they're standing up to the bullies. So that is the new age India, which is now sort of cropping up in these Western universities. But there is also a reality of the Mukulika Banerjees and the various other academicians who've embedded themselves in these Western institutions, which do not let, students like Satyam Sarana and Rashmi Sawant, succeed. Because the moment they get to know that, politically they have a leaning which is, contrary to their belief system.
Do they have support from academics? Do they have support from professors?
Yeah.
Are there professors also who follow this inimical agenda towards Bharat?
And they're mostly Indian origin professors. Like I said, Dr. Mukulika Banerjee is one of them.
But Adit, to be fair, we are talking of professors in foreign universities. In JNU, there are professors who don't believe Kashmir is an integral part of India. They have their lectures are on YouTube, if you remember. It's beneath my dignity to name them, so this time I won't name them, Adit. But there are umpteen professors, Anand, in and around JNU, maybe Jadavpur, maybe other universities, left-leaning proclivity, who actually propagate that Kashmir is not an integral part of India. There are students who believe that Indian army has created mayhem and has indulged in all sorts of illegal activities against Kashmiris. Those people are now in Congress. They are Congress candidates. Kanhaiya is one. So the problem is not just UK-centric. More worryingly, the problem is in India. But I think the best solution to that is to confront them and to give them facts and make it all open. You see, 20, 30 years ago, there were no avenues for you to do it because these people held the monopoly of the printed word, the press, the newspapers, and their word was sacrosanct. Now, that's not the case at all. So, you stand up to them like this. Anand, you were showing a clip, a person just stood up and, said that JKLF is a militant terrorist organization, and quite rightly. Now, and that's been broadcast. So the truth is out. And I think that's the best way, because in the end, they are like Rakt Beej. Their every drop spawns more of the same. You can't stop this. The only way you can, the best way is to counter them with facts and truth and words. And we have that on our side because we have the logic and rationale on our side. So I think it should not be banned. We should actually go ahead and confront them, and we will win.
Well, let's hope better sense. Yes, Adit. Final word. I've got to wind
No,
up.
I was just saying, I concur with what Dr. Ranganathan was saying, that, confronting them and dismantling their false narratives and their agenda is the best way to basically beat them. Because we know for a fact, whatever they're spewing, the venom that they're spewing has no academic grounds and is basically on very myopic and very, very fluid sort of grounds at the end of the day. So it shouldn't be very difficult for us to, dismantle their narratives. I mean, Dr. Muzammil Ayub Thakur, if you've heard him before, you know that, this guy is not from an academic background. I don't know what doctorate has he actually, achieved in, but, that those credentials should definitely be looked into.
And I bet you 5 minutes of Jay Sai or Vikram Sampath is going to be enough for these guys to crawl back to go under the rock that they reversed.
It's that if you are going to tell somebody who's ignorant and you educate them and you illuminate their minds, then it's worth the effort. But if you are going to go and bark up a tree which is going to continue to be the say कि भैंस के आगे बीन बजाए भैंस खड़ी पगुराए, that's exactly what's going to happen, because these people will not change. They'll go away for one bar, but they'll surface from somewhere else.
I see what Anand, I see what you mean, but actually, when you challenge them with words, please remember, you're not challenging them. So they're ignorant, they're not going to change. It is you're challenging the people, thousands of people who are going to watch that. And they would be more educated. So, for example, when Sai debates Manishankar Iyer or Shiv Tharoor, Mr. Tharoor, Shashi Tharoor, Vikram Sampath, they're not trying to educate them or remove their ignorance. Their broadcast, their points are for tens of thousands of millions of people who are undecided, who don't know which way is the truth, what is the truth. So it's for them. It's not for removing these ignorance from these ignoramuses.
Well, point well made, and let's try and put out more facts out there, and let's illuminate more minds, and eventually perhaps then the debates will also be for the right reasons and on the right subjects. Thank you for taking the right stand, Dr. Anand Raghunathan and Adit Kothari. We're going to take a very short break on that note. When we come back, we're in conversation with Sadhguru, who is at COP29. And interestingly, Sadhguru, while pitching for saving soil, for trying to ensure the living organism content is at least 3% to 6% in our soil, if we want to avoid desertification across the world, says in Bharat, let's have one nation, one poll. And he tells us why he says that. Stay with us.
ओ भाई, अब दिन में भी काम करोगे?
तो क्या रात में सांप और तेंदुए के साथ काम करेंगे?
मैं तो रात को ही काम करता हूँ। दिन में काम किया तो बिजली का बिल बहुत आएगा।
इसीलिए सरकार ने सौर कृषि पंप योजना शुरू की है ना।
पर अब सरकार ही बदल गई और ये योजना बंद हुई तो?
नहीं नहीं, मेरा वोट भाजपा महायुति को। भाजपा महायुति है तो ही सौर कृषि पंप योजना है।
विचार नए हैं तो अब नया विकास हो, पुरानी इस जमीन पे नया इतिहास हो। जरूरतें हैं पानी की जो दूर दूर तक, पियो ना ऊक से पियो जितनी भी प्यास हो। एक बार हमारा नाम लो तो एहसास हो, विचार नए हैं तो अब नया विकास हो। उन उंगलियों की खैर जो धागों को बुनती हो, फ्यूचर का ख्वाब देखो तो तकिए के पास हो। उड़कर चलो ना फ्लाईओवर से तो जानोगे हम कितना कुछ बनाते हैं विकास के लिए। उम्मीदें भर के देते हैं हर एक चीज में हम हैं ना, अगर आपकी उम्मीद खास हो। जुड़े हैं हम 140 करोड़ लोगों से, चारों ओर देखो तो एहसास हो। विचार नए हैं तो अब नया विकास हो। वेलस्पन वर्ल्ड।
यहाँ ऑर्डिनरी प्लाई जैसे हार्मफुल गैसेस नहीं है। खुल के सांस लो। ग्रीन प्लाई का जीरो एमिशन प्लाई, हेनली इंटीरियर्स का रिप्लाई।
The next Indian icons, beating everyone on the globe. A new perspective awaits. B6E and XEV9E. Mahindra's electric origin SUVs. Catch them at Unlimit India.
अच्छा बच्चों, बड़े होके क्या बनोगे?
I wanna be a footballer, फिर coach. Me a car designer, then an artist. Uncle और आप?
मैं तो बिजनेसमैन हूँ।
पर उसके बाद?
मतलब
आप बूढ़े होके क्या बनोगे?
अपनी खुशियों वाली रिटायर्ड लाइफ की प्लानिंग करो आज से विद आदित्य बिरला सन लाइफ इंश्योरेंस।
डीजे,
आप बूढ़े होके क्या बनोगे?
अरे ओ शांता, कहाँ चली घूमने? फिर से मायके? पति अच्छा है तुम्हारा?
सिर्फ पति ही नहीं, सरकार भी अच्छी है हमारी। अब महिलाओं को एसटी टिकट पे 50% छूट मिली है।
क्या बात कर रही हो?
हाँ।
पर कभी सोचा है तुमने, ये योजना बंद हुई तो दूसरी सरकार आई तो?
इसीलिए मेरा वोट भाजपा महायुति को। भाजपा महायुति है तो महिलाओं को एसटी टिकट पर 50% छूट है।
Deal is locked, babe. I'll see you at the fest.
When you arrive in life, you deserve the best of a drive.
Presenting the dazzling new Desire, the best and beyond.
in this world where every second counts and every decision is crucial, I discovered what truly drives me: racing. And now, from a fanboy to the proud owner of the Hyderabad Blackbirds at the Indian Racing Festival, it's time to fulfill my dreams. Chase the rush and take on the competition. To all the other teams, get ready. The Hyderabad Blackbirds are going for the win.
जब हिंदुस्तान मिले हिंदुस्तान से
Visit your nearest JK Tire Steel Wheel store today.
अरे हाँ सच में।
क्यों? आज ऑफिस को छुट्टी है क्या?
हम अभी ऑफिस से ही तो आए हैं।
फिर इतने जल्दी घर कैसे?
ये कोस्टल रोड से और मैं मेट्रो से।
और कल अटल सेतु से लोनावाला जाने का प्लान है।
पर तुमने कभी ये सोचा है, अगर दूसरी सरकार होती तो ये सब काम वक्त पे होता?
इसीलिए मेरा वोट सिर्फ भाजपा महायुति को। भाजपा महायुति है तो विकास है।
जब भी मैं ठंडा खाती थी, जैसे कि आइसक्रीम, मुझे एक झंझनाहट सी महसूस होती थी। ये बढ़ती जा रही थी ये प्रॉब्लम। पहले ठंडे से शुरू हुई, फिर गर्म खाने से हो रही थी। तब जाके मैंने डेंटिस्ट को दिखाया। उन्होंने कहा कि आप सेंसोडाइन यूज कीजिए। अब मुझे फ्रिज से कुछ ठंडा निकाल के खाना हो तो मुझे दोबारा सोचना नहीं पड़ता।
The feelings take control. The feelings take control. Mama told me to be loved.
Namaskaram. Yet again, the conversation, preservation, conservation, and of course, more importantly, something that's very close to your heart about saving soil. Sadhguruji, you are at Baku in Azerbaijan. There is the COP29 summit. Is the world waking up to this reality, the need to protect and save soil?
Waking up, it's a deep slumber. It doesn't go away so simply. Unfortunately, most human beings are in a condition that they usually wait for a massive disaster to happen. I hope we don't take it in that direction, because as per all agencies and various other independent studies, everything suggests we have only 40 to 50 harvests left on the planet. So that means we really have no plan for our children. So if we go there, then recovering from that will take a long time. This is a time to change. In many ways, we are heading towards soil extinction. Well, there is still room in the next 10-15 years. If we do something significant, it'll turn around quite quickly, especially in tropical countries. considering our weather, it'll turn around pretty quickly. It's just that we have to get them to do it, we have to make it into an election issue, that people should ask for it. This needs to be done.
But Sadhguru, there is a change in disposition in America. And last time this happened, there was a huge upheaval with the entire climate convention. How is that going to affect?
Nobody is going to completely ignore the climate aspects. It's just in the political rhetoric because one side pushes it too much, excessive pushing happens, and all that happens is money flows into all these startups which talk about variety of technologies, how to grow turnips on the wall of your house. There's a big technology going on. How to grow everything without soil, just in the water. This is all wasteful. There is enough soil and there's enough land in the world if we just improve that quality. Everybody need not be thinking of how to grow this and that in all kinds of ways. It is not necessary. Above all, soil is life. There is no two ways about it. The very body that we carry is soil. So we want to do our body with something else other than soil is a very silly idea. But these things find kind of put some kind of currency in the societies and goes on. I think in a way this reaction of saying, stop all this conversation and let's see what to do is important, because only when a society is doing well, economically well, they can really invest in these things.
Can AI tech help, and how?
In analysis…
Would you encourage youngsters in our country to look at this as an aspect where perhaps technology can help, AI can help improve soil quality, life, or even yield?
Let me put this very simply, Anand. There is life. How does life happen? According to scientists, they are saying about 1 billion years ago, I don't know the time, but they say it's 1 billion years ago, some very smart fungi or algae figured it out as to how to cook their food with solar energy. Today we call that process as photosynthesis, which is the basis of all life on the planet. But in the last 1,000 years, we have removed 85% of the photosynthesis on the planet. That means we don't have a plan for life. Everything that's life is rooted in this one aspect, that's photosynthesis, for which we need a green leaf. So, right now when we say organisms in the soil, which are in trillions, in species, not in numbers. In numbers, I don't think we can even figure what's the number. There are trillions of species, that's what they're talking about. So when that is the case, the only food that they can eat, what they consume has to be organic. Though we are feeding lot of plastic, they're not able to eat that. They can only eat organic material. So where will organic material come from? The minimum organic content that is necessary to call soil as soil is 3%. 3 to 6% is good. The shame is not a single nation on the planet has averaged 3%. The highest you find in northwestern part of Europe, because they use their land only 3 to 4 months in a year, is 2.4%. Southern Europe is 1.1%, United States is 1.25%, India is 0.62%, Africa is 0.03%. It's death. It's desertification. You must look it up, and if you can put it on your television, please put up this snapshot. 2003, first Google Maps are there. Now it's 2024. In these 20 years, just look at the Google map of the planet. How much brown is there? Well, how much brown was there then, how much brown is there now? This is desertification. This is significant. Every 25 years, we are losing about 10% of the land. See, the very cycles of drought and flood that you're seeing is a clear indication. It is almost certain, if you see a flood, within 3 to 4 months, there's going to be a drought in the same place. People think these two things are different. No, this is a natural cycle. If there is a flood, there's going to be a drought. What a flood means is, water did not percolate into the earth, it just traveled on the surface. That means there is going to be a drought. There's no two ways about it. So bumper crops we may be having because still tropical lands are very resilient, they're capable of multiplying. And we must also not look just at the crop, we must look at the nourishment value. Where is it? Nourishment values have dropped significantly. Significantly means very significantly. There are not enough studies elsewhere to talk about it very clearly, but for example, if you ate an orange in California in 1920s, how much nourishment it would give you. If you want to get the same thing today, you need to eat 8 oranges. When was the last time you ate 8 oranges, Anand? If you had, you would have been orange by now. That would be
But are we moving in the right direction? You said political discourse or political dispositions across various states, and that's put paid to perhaps a policy towards soil conservation and a certain level of protection.
I'm first of all waiting for this law, one nation, one election, because just about any time, everybody is in election. This needs to change. Otherwise, even with best intentions, they can't do much. After all, a democratically… people who are in the political process in a democratic nation have to fight an election successfully. You can't blame them. When you have a system like this, throughout the 5 years, there's some election going on. Strategizing for it, campaigning for it, winning it, and then celebrating it. By the time celebration's over, next election is happening somewhere else and somewhere else. This has to go. In a country like ours, where 1.5 billion people and our nearly 50% of our soil is gone, it's a dangerous proposition, what we have in front of us. If food systems start collapsing, fortunately for us, this is something that there is no scientific explanation for this. The maximum number of species found in a handful of soil is highest in the Deccan Plateau.
But you believe one nation, one poll, how will it solve it? Because you said political parties themselves have a different approach towards soil. This is something important to all of us.
We can even to talk to the political leaders, how can you talk to them when they are in an election mode? Election mode means you have to put some blinkers on and say whatever works for the election. What works in an election need not necessarily work for long-term well-being of the nation. Election cycle should be for short periods of time. It's an inevitable part of democratic process. But all the time elections is definitely hurting the country.
Final question. You say this policy, if it comes, will help Bharat. How will it do that?
See, right now, the simple thing is this. For example, you are living in where? Mumbai, Delhi, where are you?
I'm in Noida.
Okay. Now if you look at old Delhi, people have built homes wall to wall. There's no concept of a window because there were no laws, they just built. But today if you want to build a home, well, if you have 10,000 square feet of land, they will allow you 6, 7, whatever is the law, local law. Accordingly, they'll allow you. If you build more, people will come and demolish it. This is the nature of the law. But suppose you have 10 acres of land and you take it upon yourself in the next 10 years, you turn it into a desert, nobody will ask you. See, when we say policy, we're talking about making some rules as to how to conduct agricultural soils. See, now you have… you're living in a big city and there are urban laws. But if you go back to the old part of any city, you will see people have built homes wall to wall. There's no concept of a window, simply they built whichever way they liked. But today if you want to build, there are laws. If you break those laws and build whatever you want, they will come and demolish it. But if you have 10 acres of agricultural land, you take it upon yourself, in the next 5, 10 years' time, you will make a desert out of it. You make soil into sand.
अरे हाँ सच में।
क्यों? आज ऑफिस को छुट्टी है क्या?
हम अभी ऑफिस से ही तो आए हैं।
फिर इतने जल्दी घर कैसे?
ये कोस्टल रोड से और मैं मेट्रो से।
और कल अटल सेतु से लोनावाला जाने का प्लान है।
पर तुमने कभी ये सोचा है, अगर दूसरी सरकार होती तो ये सब काम वक्त पे होता?
ऑटो,
इसीलिए मेरा वोट सिर्फ भाजपा महायुति को। भाजपा महायुति है तो विकास है।
विचार नए हैं तो अब नया विकास हो, पुरानी इस जमीन पे नया इतिहास हो। जरूरतें हैं पानी की जो दूर दूर तक, पियो ना ऊक से पियो जितनी भी प्यास हो। एक बार हमारा नाम लो तो एहसास हो, विचार नए हैं तो अब नया विकास हो। उन उंगलियों की खैर जो धागों को बुनती हो, फ्यूचर का ख्वाब देखो तो तकिए के पास हो। उड़कर चलो ना फ्लाईओवर से तो जानोगे हम कितना कुछ बनाते हैं विकास के लिए। उम्मीदें भर के देते हैं हर एक चीज में हम हैं ना, अगर आपकी उम्मीद खास हो। जुड़े हैं हम 140 करोड़ लोगों से, चारों ओर देखो तो एहसास हो। विचार नए हैं तो अब नया विकास हो। वेलस्पन वर्ल्ड।
मजहब की बुनियाद पर मुल्क के 3 हिस्से करके हमें बहला रहे हैं।
मजहब में बांटना अंग्रेजों की राजनीति।
हमें एक इंडिपेंडेंट सॉवरेन पाकिस्तान चाहिए।
एक बार ये लकीर खींच गई, मिटाए नहीं मिटेगी।
फ्रीडम एट मिडनाइट, सुनी लिव पर।
The next Indian icons, beating everyone on the globe. B6E and XEV9E. Mahindra's electric origin SUVs. Catch them at Unlimit India.
अरे ओ शांता, कहाँ चली घूमने? फिर से मायके? पति अच्छा है तुम्हारा?
सिर्फ पति ही नहीं, सरकार भी अच्छी है हमारी। अब महिलाओं को एसटी टिकट पे 50% छूट मिली है।
क्या बात कर रही हो?
हाँ।
पर कभी सोचा है तुमने, ये योजना बंद हुई तो दूसरी सरकार आई तो?
इसीलिए मेरा वोट भाजपा महायुति को। भाजपा महायुति है तो महिलाओं को एससी टिकट पर 50% छूट है।
अरे ऋषि, आज स्कूल नहीं गए?
3 महीने से फीस नहीं भर पाई तो निकाल दिया स्कूल ने। कहीं आपके बाद आपके बच्चों के सपने न टूट जाएं। आज ही लीजिए पॉलिसी बाजार पे 2 करोड़ का टर्म लाइफ इंश्योरेंस, सिर्फ 690 रुपए महीने से शुरू।
हम रातों में सूरज।
अप्पा, नया घर कैसा लगा?
हर दिल को छू जाए ऐसी रोशनी लाते हैं फिलिप्स से, हम जिंदगी की रौनक बढ़ाते हैं।
फिलिप्स।
यारो, इस बार बिजली का बिल 8,000 आया है।
मेरा 10,000।
मेरा 5,000।
इतना? तो अब क्या भरेंगे? सिर्फ 0 रुपए।
हम किसानों के लिए शून्य बिजली बिल योजना है ना।
पर ये सरकार ही बदल गई और ये योजना ही बंद हो गई तो?
इसीलिए भाजपा महायुति को ही वोट देंगे। भाजपा महायुति है तो हम किसानों को सहारा है।
The feelings take control. The feelings take control. Mama told me to be loved.
Namaste and Jai Hind. This is a very interesting conversation with people with whom I'm having a fanboy moment actually. You know, seriously, Rashi, Vikrant and of course Riddhi, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for having me. It's a fanboy moment for us.
We're having a fanboy moment.
It's a fanboy moment for us.
That's very kind of you, but let me first ask you this. When this script came to you, what was your first thought?
I was scared. I was like, okay, should I do it? Should I not do it? Will people see it as another propaganda film? But then Ekta and I, we share a very, very close bond actually. We go back, say, 15, 16 years. So she's like, you know, it's very normal for you to feel what you're feeling because I get it. So you've read the script, now take the research material. So she provided me an equal 108, 110 page research material. And when I read that is when I thought, okay, this is a story that should be told.
But this research, you can't Google it. You don't find this when you Google it. There's a different story altogether when you search it, and clearly the research material, what you saw,
it was filtered. It was filtered. It was narrowed down because the internet has like everything, right? So you might find like it's a gamut of things, but our research was absolutely narrowed down to facts. अब मैं Google पे जाऊंगा तो मेरे को फिर contradictory perspectives भी मिलेंगे ही.
Contradictory नहीं, in terms of facts being glossed over. The point is 59 people were burnt in a train. And it says 59 people, car sevaks largely were burnt, but what followed is the bigger story. Right. That thing is glossed. So those 59 lives don't matter. Who burned them down?
Thank you so much for saying this, sir.
So I'm just asking, because any crime is wrong, any act of violence is wrong. But you can't say, okay, this violence is discountable, but this needs to be played. Did you get that feeling? Did you get that feeling?
I did, especially after the research, after I went through the research material. And I asked myself, why did I not think about this before? I concede, and I'm really sorry, I go on national television to say this thing, I never paid attention to it. So the question that I asked, which is now a part of the film, is how many of us actually know even those, how many of us can name 3 people out of those 59? We don't even know their names. They are mere statistics. People have spoken about, I mean, world over, in fact, not just India. There have been international publications who've spoken about what happened post 27th February. Unfortunate incident, should have never happened, should never happen. And as you said, any form of violence, any form of suppression is absolutely wrong. But how can you not look at the genesis of what?
Yeah, what was the trigger?
What was the trigger?
What was the social trigger, or if you were to say that starts a domino effect?
And it was such an important event that actually changed our entire socio-political fabric.
Yeah, and the narrative also, the political narrative, perception building, everything changed. Yeah. When did you get to know about this?
About the incident? Or?
No, did you know about the incident?
Of course I did. I lived in Delhi, and news channels are always on, and everyone...
I know there is a very strong political leaning in the family also.
Yes.
And so was there a different version of accounts that you were aware of?
No, they were all versions of accounts. See, you know everything, but what is reported is what one gets to know that, oh, I heard something else, but that's not being reported, or, stuff like that. I was in school, so of course, you're not interested, you're like, oh, what happened, and you move on with your life, and you also don't sit really with the parents, and when they are debating and arguing and
never had a chat with your uncle about it?
I never did. He was more interested always in knowing what we are doing. He was always very interested in the youth and what are you doing and how's it going, and showed a lot of interest in our lives, and we always felt like, I mean, I'm going to start talking about him if I could, but...
No, true, but I'm just curious that if you had someone like him in your family, you would go to him and say, what's the truth? Tell me what happened.
No, he was all about the truth. If you're in a room with him and you just need to listen to him.
Yeah. Tons of stories.
Tons of stories.
Arun Jaitley, so yeah.
Yes, tons of stories. But I think the greatness of Arun Fufaji was that he would want to know what are you doing. So, आजकल क्या हो रहा है TV industry में? And you feel like he knows everything. But he's still trying to. So coming back to this, I think now when I was approached for the film, I was scared too. And my first instinct reaction was, no, I don't want to do it. And then the same thing happened. Research material was provided, and none of us were told that, see, we are doing. It was not like they were trying to.
Who do you play?
I play an English-speaking journalist who represents, in my understanding, because I'm an artist and we have to sort of, it has to be larger than what you're saying. It's a 2.5-hour film. We can't say everything we wanted to. There were many things we wanted to show, but we couldn't. So I largely represent a system. That system keeps shifting
So did you model yourself around an individual who tends to represent a system?
No, we didn't want to. We were very clear that we're not going after anyone, or we're not wanting to show. It was not my biopic that what is her journey, and we also wanted to keep it in the focus of the film is the incident. The focus of the film is largely what the media houses and what are the different voices that are coming out of journalism, and what did they say? How did they project and portray the incident?
North of the Vindhyas, 23, 24, you're coming north of the Vindhyas into the Hindi film world. Rashi, how did this happen?
So I think I have to be extra careful about my choices. I have been so far, and this was a daring choice that I made. And I remember I was working on Talaakhon Mein Ek with Vikrant. There's another film that we've shot together which will come next year. But I remember shooting for that, and I was told that he was doing this film. And then he came to me and he said, you know, maybe they'll come to you for the other character. The first question I asked him when he said, I'm going to do the film, was, have you lost it? That's what I asked him, you know, as a friend, as a person who wishes him well, as a person who I can see is on the rise. I thought maybe this is not a very good decision.
Stick your hand inside a big
Yeah, and I was very pushy, and I said, no, you're not doing this. He's like, wo to chhod, they'll come to you now for the other character. I'm like, I'm never going to do it. And he's like, wait for it. He's like, don't judge it by the cover. That's what people are doing in general with the trailer that has come out. They're judging it by what they're seeing, which is completely acceptable at this point. My reaction was similar when they came to me with the script. And I was like, I don't know, I don't think I want to do it. And he just said, just read the script, just see the material that's there, and you take your own call, independent call. I usually don't ask people around when they come to me with scripts whether or not I should do them. It's completely my decision. But this time I was scared a little. I went to my parents, I went to my friends, and what I realized was that there were so many conflicting opinions on what has happened, and nobody knew. I myself wasn't aware.
Yeah.
Till I was presented with this whole, I could call it, I don't know, like a...
As big as the script.
Yeah, as big as the script, like the research material that was provided to us with photographs, and I'm a very emotional person, so a lot of the times I don't want to see all that, right? It's not right, but I can't handle it. I get very emotional. I got very emotional. I was like, this is a story that has to be told. But keeping the emotion aside, the actor in me knew that there was going to be a social responsibility on my shoulder. And I sort of am a little known, and there will be questions asked. After I read the material, I knew I was prepared for it. And hats off to the team, hats off to Ekta, who picked it up, who had the courage to pick this up and take it to people.
Does this movie change that perception?
We hope so.
Does it? No, I'm asking you. For your own individual self, did it change? Saying that perhaps it was not independent.
It was not.
It wasn't.
Perhaps it was equally influenced, or if not more influenced. I don't know. I'm asking.
In modern context, I'm sorry I'm taking this. In the modern context, this has unfortunately been the case since World War II. What Goebbels did, sending people on the war front with cameras, and I've said this earlier, my reality could be your propaganda. But as you said, that despite our different political ideologies, we can at least sit on a table and share a meal.
Correct. आज तो वो भी नहीं हो रहा.
I hope we can do that someday.
नहीं, we can do.
अच्छा वैसे वो भी नहीं हो रहा.
नहीं, आज तो normalcy में ऐसा नहीं हो रहा. ऐसे you and me may differ politically, but I respect your body of work, and I respect you as a friend and as a person, and we'll sit and share. Yes. Those were the days. Today, people will not sign you for movies. Yeah. You would agree that you will be shelled out of projects, so your name will not be taken because they'll say, "अरे, इसका तो ये point of view है यार, रेंदो इसने उसके साथ काम किया तो मैं इसके साथ."
There could be a very marginal section.
True, false?
There is a marginal section. I do not deny, because political ideologies have taken forefront, but not in its entirety. And also, when people are not privy to it or a part of it, they make up things in their own head. कि Bollywood mafia है. बॉलीवुड में ये होता है, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता है. If you're good at your job, people will hire you because they want good, responsible, profitable people to work with.
हाँ, but do they also come and say, यार देखो जब तक ये प्रोजेक्ट कर रहे हो कुछ भी controversial मत कर देना, कुछ भी ऐसा बोल मत देना, don't try and tweet too much.
I think they say to people who are already controversial. हम जैसे कोई कुछ नहीं बोलता because हम तो वैसे ही कुछ controversial
मैं तो वैसे कुछ नहीं करता हूँ, अपने घर पे बैठा रहता हूँ, तो भी मेरा तो पता नहीं X पे चलता ही रहता है.
Yeah. But also I feel if you're on the side of truth, you know, whether as artists or whatever you do, there's nothing to be scared. You don't really need to be told, don't do this, don't do that. Like she said, if you're a controversial person by nature, then they're probably going to come and tell you, please, you know, calm down for these few months. But no,
But thankfully, here none of us are naturally inclined towards controversy.
But I also feel as an actor, you don't need to have an opinion on everything.
Yeah,
correct. That's true.
What people expect us expect from us is कि हमें सब पता होना चाहिए, and we should have an opinion on everything. what if I don't want to give my opinion? What if I am not right?
Have an opinion.
What if I don't know much about whatever you're asking me, and I can choose to tell you, but I'm sorry, I don't know much about it. That's not acceptable. नहीं आप अपना opinion दो. नहीं आप बोलो क्या आप अरे भाई, what if I'm not?
Good evening, this is Brastax. I'm Zaka Jacob. India has made it clear to Pakistan that it will not travel to that country to attend the upcoming ICC Champions Trophy. Now, as if to stick it into India's eye, Pakistan has decided to take the ICC Champions Trophy on a tour to multiple cities, including cities like Skardu and Muzaffarabad, which are in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Now, expectedly, this would rile up India. After all, this is disputed territory, something that India and Pakistan have been discordant at for the last 70 plus years. Even though the ICC says it's going to reject outright any such plan of a trophy tour, particularly through contentious areas in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, the question is, why is Pakistan doing this? Why are they intent on riling India up and at the same time begging for India to travel to Pakistan and take part in the India-Pakistan match, which India has outright refused to do so? Pakistan has also, for a number of years now, begged India to resume talks. India says talks and terror cannot go together. So then the question is, isn't this a classic case of doublespeak by Pakistan? On the one hand, it wants India to travel to Pakistan to take part in the match. Remember, there's billions of dollars riding on match fees and satellite rights and what have you, advertising money, etc. India is absolutely clear it's not going to do that. And yet at the same time, to rile up India, Pakistan is saying that the trophy will be taken to very, very contentious areas, disputed areas, as though to provoke India into giving a reaction. But first, the story of what's exactly happened.